Hello, hello. How have you guys been? Let me see if you can hear me. Yeah, it works. Um, I think I'm going to half hour, maybe 1 hour stream. I'm not going to watch any videos or play anything. Um, just want to play. The only thing I want to play is a staring contest with you with my camera. We'll see how that goes. I'm also going to try to speak uh, as little as possible, because that's how you stream. um, but you guys can understand one can only uh, speak for so long, for an amount of time. You can't. It's probably an art to it. Not just make up shit, just talk about stuff. So people make podcasts like one of my favorites actually, Bill Burr, one of the biggest US comedians. Monday podcast, I think it's called. Really good content, love it. Laughing at double standards, pretty much like what Train does. Trainwrecks, love him, amazing, amazing content creator. Um, yeah, funny stuff. Oh, hello, you can hear as well. Okay. Yeah. Um, Weather has been fantastic. Today's been a bank holiday. Here in London, UK, and a lot of animals outside. A lot of wild people. I put it to shame. You kind of realize that you share city planet with people like that. Just being out in the public, shouting, screaming, punching. Wow, it's incredible. That's London for you, and it's embarrassing. It's ridiculous. Kind of wish I didn't live in a world like that where people shout. I was in a tube today, going to East London, see someone, and there's this exactly like what you call the uh, white trailer trash family. Holy shit! It's like a mom and 3 or 4 kids. Everyone was shouting. You didn't know who was the mom, who was the kid. It was incredible. And it was a public transport, and people were staring at them. I was part of the people who were staring at them because I kind of wanted to film them. It's ridiculous. One of those loud families, one of those loud people, that they think everything is about them. They matter. They are the most important people. That kind of having no remorse, no shame, nothing, just shouting, just being loud, just like everything is about them. Oh wow, this blood boiling is completely ridiculous. Like fucking going to the zoo. I mean, the zoo will be so much more peaceful actually. It's like a circus, more like. And yeah, my I don't know. I'm trying to stay away from saying anything outrageous, but you have to put up with stuff like that. And I wish I lived in a different world, where there's more common sense, where there's shame. Hence the expression that Train and some other streamers say, shamelessness. It's no shame. I miss those days where there was shame. What was that, like 90s, 80s? That was the best time. Seen videos, footage, films and stuff from the 80s. Wow, amazing. That was fantastic. Girls were cleaner. There's not that much stress with banks. Work was available for everyone. There's less homeless people, more organic food. There's so many pluses, and yeah, so many good things. I wish I was kind of when I was born in the 80s, but I didn't really live like an adolescent life, like an adult life in the 80s. That would have been brilliant. If I was able to travel in time, that would be my favorite decade, like even 70s. But I mean, I also say I really wish I was able to travel back in time and punch really hard in the face the one who created that word brunch. That's so wow. It's just so nice. Wish that word didn't existed. It's just yeah. And what else? What else? Um, Cleaned up today. What have you guys been up to? Been an amazing weekend. Beautiful weather. Three 3 days weekend. Wait, let me check the health of the stream. Is that good? Yeah. Doesn't lag or anything. Yeah, we're good. We are good. Um, and I'm looking to move out of this area because it's right next to the main road, which I hate. I thought I was able to cope with this, but as you guys heard in previous streams of mine, there's the ambulance, police, and the fire brigade just running one after another, like playing chase. It's every 5 minutes. There's sirens outside. It's ridiculous. And if it's not the sirens, there's the construction site right next to where I live. They're banging morning to evening. And then there's loud people on the main road, on the street, just like behaving like animals, just jumping up and down and doing like animal noises and laughing and punching each other in the face and in pushing each other in the wall. It's just fucking circus. Could probably make content out of putting my camera outside on the window, just filming the ridiculousness that is going on outside. And I don't normally complain, but there are limits, you know. And people nowadays don't really have limits. So, like, where's the line? Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. It's really difficult to find because I don't know. I've seen other people. Yeah, like as I was saying, sirens. There you go. People have their own house, their own flat. That's amazing. I've been renting most of the time here in London, and you rent and you have to cope with with the tenants, with the landlords not fixing stuff, and if it costs is not going to be fixed, if it can be managed or just adjust things, then probably. Um, it was really difficult to find a room that has. Previously, I had my own kitchenette in my double room, which is fantastic. Not sharing a kitchen with other people. It's amazing. It's a really good thing. And now having my own shower room, which again a really good thing. But these rooms come very rarely. This is like 1 out of 500 adverts. It's ridiculously rare. It's a very rare thing. And yeah, I don't want to move to like a block of flats where you have other people, or even houses where you're going to be at the ground floor, and then there's people above you that they're going to be loud and they're banging. And that was the issue why one of the main issues why I moved from previous place, because the people above me were really loud. They were just banging the whole time. You're just telling them now that this second we're telling them that they're being allowed to, like, please give you a bit, um, you know, be more reserved or be more quiet or whatever, be more considerate of others. And then they were just going upstairs and back to banging. It's ridiculous. And yeah, that's one of the rules I made from now on. I'm not going to like this room, for example. Like, it's at top floor. It's okay view, but I'm never going to have anyone else above my room, because that's, yeah, it's not going to work. Especially when you speak with people and they don't, some of them don't even understand English. It's ridiculous how you can. I've seen so many people, like even in constructions and so many other industries here in London, that they they're obviously helped by other friends or families, whatever, relatives, to come here to London to work and have more opportunities and stuff, which I'm not against that by far. But what you noticed is that they don't speak a word of English and they're not interested to learn the language even. And then they stay here for like years. They don't speak like, they only know yes or no, hello, and this, like, the really the basics. And then they go back home, and then, you know, they ask someone if you know the language, and they can't even um, have a decent conversation, like make a form or proper sentence. But he was asking something when like some workers. I was asking about the how long I was asking them something, and they didn't know how to answer in English. That's ridiculous. How can you have a job abroad anywhere and not speak that language? Something they've been for years and they're not being interested to learn the language. That's kind of disrespect towards that country. It's it's really not cool. I don't know. Yeah, but I couldn't. I mean, I lived in Greece. I speak pretty decent Greek. I made friends. I had an amazing time. And like you see, yeah, like you could see in my streaming title, there's English, Romanian, and Greek. That's the languages that I can have a proper, even intellectual conversation languages in. And I done that, a bit of Spanish, 2 or 3 words in Russian, 2 or 3 words in Japanese, and think, yeah, French as well, Italian, little, very little, few words. But I've seen this thing where it was I don't know the name of the movie, but it was with Bruce Willis, and he went to Chinatown, and he started speaking fluent Chinese, Cantonese, whatever. It was amazing, like the coolest thing ever. Because I don't know if you guys notice, but when you speak a few languages and you watch a TV and you read the subtitles, they don't translate exactly the what that person said in that language, the full sentence, exactly its meaning. It's just like really very basic stuff. And kind of noticed how subtitles don't really translate exactly what that person said, and it's interesting to see the differences. Well, that's one of the benefits, but very little benefit actually. But of course, it's just so weird, like in a beautiful way, to understand completely every word of what another person says in a different language. And yeah, it's an amazing feeling. It's beautiful. It's able to connect with the person directly without translators or using a translating application or anything. It's fantastic. I also remember when I was studying neuroscience, um, there's this thing like a fact or something that if one knows speaks 2 or 3 languages, your brain is going to be healthier for longer, or something like that. Works better. I forgot. In a general sense. That's yeah. Always been interested in languages. ordered this, placed an order for Cooler Master V2. I think it is the third generation. It's a really good one, but it's been like 2 weeks. I still haven't received it, and of course I contacted them. They said it's up to the delivery team that they have here, which is Royal Mail. Just complete shit. Unprofessional people. Disgrace. And they said I contacted Royal Mail. They said it was 2 delivery attempts, or if they try one time to deliver, they normally leave that that card. It's like a red and white card, saying that we missed you. You know, we attempted to deliver, but no one was home. I didn't receive that, and yet they say that they try to deliver, because you can't really collect it if you were to go to the branch, post office branch, and collect it. They will only give that parcel to you if you had the card, so I can't even collect it. It's ridiculous. I contacted this it's like Tekin, I think it's called, from Spain, company, online company. They buy computer parts and all kinds of devices and electronics, and not even sorry, didn't even apologize. I mean, saying yeah, we apologize for the poor service or whatever. Nothing like that. That's the thing you get used to when you live in London, like a really civilized, comparing to the majority of countries in the entire world. It's a very civilized country. Everyone says sorry, thank you, whatever. You go in other countries and they don't use that. It's so weird. It's plain like complete rudeness. They're just being whatever. Like if you're into America, there is no thank you, there is no I'm sorry, there is no please. They just go, yeah, give me that. Take this, okay? It's so weird. When I was visiting my country, or when I was going to Greece, some very few people in Greece, in my country, it's probably even worse. But very few people use the thank you, please, or I'm sorry. It's those 3 things that here in UK are kind of famous, and it's like it shows courtesy and it's great respect. But yeah, when you go to another country, they don't use those words, and it's weird. It's like they know they're being rude, but that's what they're being accustomed to, because everyone else does that. And even if you were to start a trend where be more civilized and use those 3 things, it's not going to last, because it's like deeply imprinted into people's minds to behave that way, where there's no I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe I'm having high expectations. But normally when someone has high expectations, it's because they themselves are ready to give that much back, you know? So yeah. It's been one of my favorite things to talk about social issues, and I'm not talking about protests and all that nonsense that people promote. I'm kind of talking about the opposite, the inequality, when people promote equality, but it's not really equality. It's equality for one gender, but not the other. Because men and women are equal, but females are more equal for some reason. Like, to give you examples, when people divorce, the woman always takes half of what they've done. Is not spread equal. If a couple divorces, then the man is supposed to pay, what is it called, like in US, like alimony, or child support. There's never a woman that pays that. Where's equality in that? Or if a woman is teacher is it's been arrested for having sexual relationships with one of their students, should just get like a slap on the wrist. If a male teacher gets caught for having sexual relationship with a student, at easily 10 years in prison. Where's the equality in that? Yeah, I could give you examples forever. It's just so many things. But yeah, equality. Um, I came across I came across this interesting point of view when someone was saying about who thought they were talking about the LGBTQ communities. If they are all in for the equality and all the sexual preferences, where's the heterosexuals in that? Um, in LGBTQ, there is no heterosexuals. It's everything else but that. So they're not very inclusive then, are they? It's a very interesting POV that I came across recently, and almost no one says that. No one mentions that. I never heard someone saying that thing. It's just now recently when I first time when I heard it. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stream for half hour, 1 hour, see how things go. See, um, anyone joins. Wait, I updated this. Why I didn't? Okay. Right. So yeah, interesting stuff. Is Bill Burr actually talks a lot about inequality, about double standards, about how feminism and LGBTQ and other communities they talk about equality, but they don't actually promote equality. They promote favoritism. Um, yeah, I was talking about how his girlfriend watches Oprah, and Oprah was presenting one of her guests, and in that presentation, it was some words like the most difficult job in the world, being a mom. It's funny. And Bill was saying that roofing in July was, he thought it was difficult, or um, like extreme jobs, or firefighters, or police officers, or that they've been put in danger all the time, or what was that? Heavy, I forgot, fishing something. And it's yeah, it was interesting how that was not dangerous. It was not the most difficult job in the world, but being in your PJs and watching a DVD with your kid, that's more difficult. It's kind of what he was his notion was. And yeah, of course, when there's a breakup, a woman is allowed to punch the shit out of the guy and um, destroy the house, but nothing happens to her. If a guy does that, he's guaranteed to go to jail. He's yeah, it's gonna go on his criminal record. It's gonna be a completely different story. So yeah, no, not really fighting for that equality in that area at all. And that's mainly because they feminists, or yeah, well, mainly feminists, they just pick and choose the benefits. It's not the equality for everything. It's just what the benefits are. Good stuff. There's actually, where is that video? I want to show you guys a video about the. Yeah, I'd rather show you than explain to you because I'm not very good with explaining. I'm not very outspoken, and it's one of those things that it's much better if you see yourself than hear about it. Someone say it to you. It's mainly about the COVID situation. I know you heard a lot about it and you're probably tired of it, but there's videos of Bill Gates from 2012, 2013, and where he's talking in front of the camera about how a global pandemic will look like, which is slightly ironical or coincidental. And there's, I think I mentioned before, there's news from 13 March 2019 in Romania on the news. He was saying about global, world, yeah, global or worldwide, it's pretty much the same thing, pandemic that is going to happen. They just didn't know when, they just know that it's going to happen. And then, of course, shortly enough, it happened. So, yeah, people still don't think it's all planned. Now there's the variant from India, right? Pretty sure I think I made a tweet saying that I could bet during the next winter it's going to be another variant. It's another lockdown. Because now what they're doing, probably, I couldn't possibly know for certain, but probably what they're doing, they're just checking the papers now to see if another lockdown will benefit them. Because from what we know, the rich people go richer, and it's also another reason why it's called the Great Reset. But where's that video? Because it's really spot on. It was amazing. We just talked about put in paper from probably 2009, a Rockefeller document, talking about how similar to what Bill Gates was saying, how a global pandemic will be conducted. I don't think I'm gonna find it, but it's should have had it prepared actually. Let's see if I can find it. It's interesting when you see things like this being spoken about up front, then they happen, and there's people that say it's all by accident or yeah. And also the how long it took for the governments to do something about it, because it's been like 6 months before they started at least 4 before they started implementing rules and stuff. Where's that video? And I think since I was very young, I always wonder if there's a catastrophe, whatever happens, whatever global major disasters happen, governments are never prepared for anything. And of course, on this occasion, because it was all planned with the COVID, they were not planned on purpose. Maybe one could say that probably it's part of the population agenda, but yeah, it's interesting how what they're not, governments are not prepared for nothing, no disasters at all. Wherever they happen, they just take it as it comes, not prepared for nothing. But I think it's on my others external hard drives. Let's see. Oh yes, I found it. Let's watch this. Okay, now I'm gonna have to put it on OBS. Came across this video and it's really interesting.
In 2010, the deep state had the
Let me see. Let's see what you guys think about it.
introduced martial law and a permanent method for total control of the citizenry.
Wait.
In this plan that they disguised as an academic scenario, as they called it, the method they would use to gain state had the Rockefeller Foundation script a plan to introduce martial law and a permanent method for total
Is it clear
control of
enough
the citizenry.
Wait.
In this plan that they disguised as an academic scenario, as they called it, the method they would use to gain complete prison-like control of the entire population was to infect them with a devastating biological pandemic, and then, under the guise of protecting us from this threat, they would be free to implement their final solution, a prison state. The prison state that they need to keep their grip on power.
I'm not really that into conspiracy theories, but when you see that there's some evidence or something that could be possible, or you know, just sporting like clues and stuff, then it definitely gets your attention.
As usual, the fascists disguise their crimes as helping us, and as is typical of this new type of fascism, they always make the claim that we the people are begging them to have more and more control over us. As you watch this video, remember that the deep state concocted this scheme in 2010 as a quote-unquote simulation of what is to come. The following is proof that the deep state is behind these viral pandemics. Absolutely positively, pandemics are now the tool of choice for the fascists, known as the deep state.
Gets
and the
better.
private contractors that they call Ebola.
One of the
Yeah.
curfewing establishment has a lot of
If they can do it, they will do it, which means they already have done it.
the ruling establishment has a lot of they will stop at nothing to complete their toolkit of control, right? So one of the things that has been missing from the toolkit of
So this one in 2014, this guy was reading some papers, some reports, I think, or plans of the Rockefeller Corporation.
total control has been quarantines and curfews, right? So now, welcome to the new world in America, where to get on a bus, to go through a subway station, if you think that the procedures at the TSA are onerous, right? Guess this is coming to a bus depot near you. It's a more invasive way, and the ruling class needs this because, let me say, if the ruling class ever saw wide-scale civil unrest, you'd see an Ebola outbreak in America right away.
Okay, so this is, what you see is that Ebola is
Another tool in the toolbox of the ruling
of
class
repression
control. Yeah,
to
definitely.
keep down
Absolutely,
repression.
positively, 100%. This is a tool.
Right.
Yeah, Ebola doesn't just magically start spreading. And then we have this doctors that come back here. The white people, of course, live. The two whites who got it survived. All the black people that get it die. Right? It's very possible that these one of these NGOs over there is going around with a veil of Ebola or spreading it from a small plane onto villages. The point is to get hundreds of thousands of people infected with it and create the next phase of control. Now, one of the things I'd like to show to back up my my claims here. Here's a document from the Rockefeller Foundation. Rockefeller Foundation, right there. You can zoom in on that, where my finger is. It's called Scenarios for the Future International Development, the Rockefeller Foundation. All right. Okay. Let's take a look at what they're saying here. This is something like a 50, 60-page document. I'd like you to go to page 18, if you can look at this up on the internet, but I'll read it off to you. It's called lockstep, lockstep. And this is a phrase that I used right after 2001 when I saw the entire system of the United States, including the population, were in lockstep. So the Congress went along, and yes, it was Osama bin Laden, and the people waved their flag and said, I hate, 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 and everything was in lockstep. Well, in 2010, they published this, Rockefeller Foundation, and here's what they're saying. They're saying that they call it a scenario. These are scenario narratives, and they speak about it in the past tense. So they put out this scenario, lockstep. A world of tighter, top-down government control and more authoritarian leadership with limited innovation and growing citizen pushback. Okay, I'll read a little bit of it. In 2012, the pandemic that the world had been anticipating for years, nobody was anticipating a pandemic, finally hit. Unlike 2009's H1N1, this new influenza strain originating from wild geese, they use some scenario, but this is Ebola they're talking about.
Ahead.
Even the most pandemic-prepared nations were quickly overwhelmed when the virus streaked around the world, infecting nearly 20% of the global population and killing 8 million in just 7 months. The majority of them healthy young adults. The pandemic also had a deadly effect on economies. You can see the agenda, just naked, raw, naked control agenda written down, and it's anybody's guess how this becomes effectuated in real life. So whether this is written specifically as marching orders or whether people take it upon themselves in the intelligence networks to say, okay, well, this has been produced, so this is the plan here. But these narratives have to be written in advance because the intelligence agencies don't know how to do these narratives. They need help. So these think tanks, they come up with these like Rand Corporation, Rockefeller Foundation. These are think tanks of death. They're not the think tanks. They're not there to find great ways to help people. Right? Okay, the pandemic also had a deadly effect on economics. International mobility of both people and goods screeched to a halt. Which is what they want. They want a completely isolated world, right? Debilitating industries like tourism and breaking global supply chains. Well, of course they want tourism stopped because they're not in the tourism business. And they want you at home in your house in front of the TV. Then they got you. Because once you watch the TV, they own your soul. Even locally.
Wait a second, we're on television.
I mean commercial television, let's say. National. Even locally, normally bustling shops and offices sat empty for months. Okay, so I love how they talk about it in the past tense in 2010. Right? The pandemic blanketed the planet, though disproportionate numbers in Africa died. Southeast Asia and Central America, where the virus spread like wildfire.
It sounds like the opening monologue of a disaster movie, right?
Exactly. Now listen here's the good stuff now. But even in developed countries, containment was a challenge. Now here's this one. I love this one. The United States' initial policy of strongly discouraging, in quotation marks, strongly discouraging citizens from flying proved deadly in its leniency. So they're saying, that...
No, keep going.
Okay,
Read it. Just
proved deadly in its leniency. So they should have been tougher, right? Accelerating the spread of the virus, not just within the United States, but across borders. However, a few countries did fare better. China in particular. The Chinese government's quick imposition and enforcement of mandatory quarantine for all citizens, as well as its instant and near hermetic sealing off of all borders, saved millions of lives, stopping the spread of virus far earlier than in other countries. So the message is here, we have to look towards the Chinese, the oppressive totalitarian Chinese regime as an example of what we need to be doing here. And of course, the ruling class here loves the Chinese regime because they have demonstrated to the ruling class the most efficient form of capitalism, which is authoritarian capitalism. So we have capitalism, but unfortunately we have this veil.
I get it.
We have this veil of democracy.
This is very interesting. This is continue on.
Okay. Okay. China's government was not the only one that took extreme measures to protect its citizens from risk and exposure. During the pandemic, national leaders around the world flexed their muscles, flexed their authority, and imposed airtight rules and restrictions. You can see the agenda.
Go.
Okay. From the mandatory wearing of face masks to body temperature checks at the entries to communal spaces like
that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, but soon it's going to be like body.
It'll be at the subway.
Yeah, well,
is that what you're saying? We'll be going through this in the sub to get on the buses and the subway,
absolutely,
things
positively.
like that.
And what this means though is don't think about having a cigarette, a joint on you, or I mean, basically you can't. This is a dragnet for everything. So if in order for you
in other words, just like with stop and frisk, this is ultimate stop and frisk.
This is the ultimate cavity stop and frisk, cavity search kind of thing. All right, so during the pandemic, national leaders around there flex their authority. They're now there's some good stuff. Listen to this. And even supermarkets, they want body checks at supermarkets, okay? So basically what they're saying is they're building a system where every move you make, you got to go through them.
You can't get.
So this video was made in 2014, and now this is happening. I mean, to think that that's coincidental, that's that's just super weird. You must be really low IQ to think that this was just an accident and they escaped from the Wuhan laboratory by accident, and forget about the scientists who escape China, flee to US to expose what actually happened, pathologists explain what happened because they were working in that lab. And the 2012-2013 Bill Gates videos, and that thing I mentioned on the news on 2019, they were talking about global pandemic coming, and this video here, and it's possibly so much more content that me and you and everyone else is not aware of its existence. Considering all this put together, to think that it's accidental, that's very, very low IQ, I reckon.
Food. What happened if you go to the farmer's market?
Right. Here's the good stuff now. I mean, it just keeps getting better. Even after the pandemic faded, this more authoritarian control and oversight of citizens and their activities stuck and even intensified. That's the whole point. So they're going to get rid of...
Did that happen already with 9/11?
Of course.
9/11 was how many, 14 years ago, and we still have all these draconian
So
rules.
they're going to put the body cavity
USA
searches
Patriot
in.
and all
That's
that
right.
stuff.
So in order to get to a supermarket, you got to have a body cavity search, and then when there's no more Ebola, well, you know what? We kind of like this way because we have a complete infrastructure of a control grid. In order to protect themselves from the spread of increasingly global problems, from pandemics and national terrorism to environmental crisis and rising poverty, leaders around the world took a firmer grip on power. Well, what the hell would rising poverty have anything to do with imposing strict citizen controls with face masks? So they're very sloppy stuff here. At first, the notion of a more controlled world gained wide acceptance and approval. I'm sorry, Nobody likes this stuff. They're just
Continue on.
saying it.
Continue on.
No,
Let's hear
I have to provide analysis.
Only because we only have 5 minutes left, so that's
Oh my
fine.
God, okay. Citizens willingly gave up some of their sovereignty and their privacy to more paternalistic states in exchange for greater safety and stability. I mean, that's just a complete naked contradiction to the famous saying that if you think you're going to give up a little bit of security, I mean, if you're going to give up your freedom for security, you're going to get neither. That's the long-standing thing. And here what they're doing is they're not even ashamed or embarrassed to absolutely say the exact opposite. They're saying, yes, we all want to give up our privacy and sovereignty for more stability and security and stability. So you don't get that. When you give it up like that, you get the shaft.
Can you show us the cover again of
I'll
what
show
you were
the
just
cover
reading?
one more time, and then I have
This
two
is
more
what-
documents.
Right,
Two
this is
more
what we were
documents.
reading here, and just zoom in a little bit so folks can see it. He'll zoom in, don't worry, you can watch.
All right.
And scenarios for the future of technology and international development.
Okay. Now I have two more documents. Keep it zoomed. We have the National Security Memorandum of December 10th, 1974. This is Henry
Hold it down.
Kissinger's brainchild. The National Security Memorandum number 200. You can look that up on your internet. I'll summarize it. He says that there's too many people. We got to get rid of the population. So to answer your question,
From earlier.
yeah, he says he used the word depopulation, which is different. Depopulation means killing people that already exist, and it's to get the minerals, because we need the minerals. And here's another one. The CDC has a patent on Ebola. They patented it. Yeah? So basically, if you want to get a cure for your Ebola, you
Here it
got to
says
go.
it right up here, right? It says human Ebola virus species and compositions and methods thereof, and it's a patent.
It's a patent. They patented the main strain plus something like 17 other strains of it. So they own it now, and I don't know how exactly you can own that, but apparently they've done the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't think you could own a natural.
Yeah, you can. I guess the main thing to finish off this show is this, that they want to get more control, more and it's going to be curfews and quarantines. So what I'm saying is that unless the American people start to get some new way to revolt, a new way to organize, new way to protest, unless we can break through the apathy, because that's what we have here, then it's going to be a slave state here. The ruling class doesn't seem to have too much resistance. They're getting everything on their Christmas shopping list. And they've been wanting quarantines and curfews for a long time. Now they got it. And if you want to live in a world where you're tricked into all this stuff because it's for your safety, right? And if you want to have a probe and make sure you got to check your pockets, make sure you don't have anything incriminating on you.
There's a saying, really interesting, that someone mentioned. The most dangerous people in the world are the ones who think that they do things in the name of good. So they think they're right, they're gonna stop at nothing. That's really very, very dangerous.
Before you go out, and when you step out of your house, you want some police there to monitor and see what you're doing. If that's the world you want to live in, be apathetic, don't do anything. You're going to get that world very soon. It's coming your way, definitely. Yeah.
So what
Same.
should people do? What's the hope? You have 30 seconds.
To wake up, learn about it, and go fight these bastards in Washington. They're easy to beat. If we can just organize, we can beat them. It's simple. They're weak, and there's so few of them.
And that's it.
In 2010.
Wait, let me adjust everything back. Where is it? So, yeah, what did you think of that? That was interesting. This was in 2014, and yeah, all coincidence. And I don't know, I read on social medias there's some rumors with people saying that a vaccine passport, there's chances that it might get scrapped. which is very interesting. Um, hope it does. And yeah, it was also interesting how government was advising people to behave like they have the virus. If you're healthy, if you don't present any symptoms, still get vaccinated, still have tests done, because you might get one, because you know, you've been healthy for a week, you've been um, rarely going outside, maybe you're a gamer, still to get tested. If you don't present any symptoms now, you might present in 2 days. Even if you didn't went outside, you didn't have any contact with the outside world at all, still get tested, still get vaccinated. If you have a strong immune system, still get vaccinated. It's yeah, interesting. And they don't show those people who died for having the vaccine done. I know of young kids, very young age, where they suffered severe brain damage, changed their life forever because of the vaccine. I mean, of course, if they show that on TV, they're going to discourage people getting them. Of course, I understand that. But it's the things they don't hear, the things that don't tell you, that is interesting, so you can understand how the whole thing is being conducted. Oh, here's another point. Here's another point that I don't think I've heard. This is something that I came up with, that I kind of made me wonder, made me question. Um, Especially with the blood clots that AstraZeneca might have like as side effects from it. If something happens to you, the government of course advises for you to get a vaccine. If something happens to you, the government and no one is responsible for that. No one is going to take blame. That's at your own risk. So how does that work then? something something happens to you and it's your fault. You've done that. You've accepted to have the vaccine done. And then someone might say that, you know, you might still die because you don't have the vaccine, because you might get corona. Never ending stupid circle. But yeah, not having no one take responsibility if something happens to you, like the people that had the blood clots done and that happened to them, and people who died, people who had severe allergic reactions to the vaccine, and had permanent damage, different types of. Who is responsible for that? Of course, themselves. I know it's interesting. There's a chance I might be talking nonsense, but I'm not an expert by far. I shouldn't be quoted or follow what I say or anything like that. I'm just saying my opinion, what I think from what I've seen from my own personal observations. And yeah, it's interesting. Don't know how long it's going to last now. It's going to be another 2-3 years, maybe 5 years. Don't know. Oh, and there's also some people were mentioning about how much data is being collected with that a vaccine passport. It's not just your address and the fact that you have the vaccine done. There's a lot more behind that. I think they were saying that it has to do, I mean, your criminal record. That's like a very small percentage of all the data they collect with that passport. It's a lot that collects with it, and it's just another part of tracking you, all your movements, where you travel to, what events you participate in, you attend, that kind of stuff. They all want to track that, collect your data, and yeah. So yeah, I'm glad I got to. I found that video to show you. It's very interesting. Of course, people might think it's coincidental, but yeah. It's also interesting the level of opposition towards skepticism in a situation like this. If you're anti-vaxxer, if you're a skeptic, then you're wrong. You shouldn't be. Just go along with it. If you die, you die. You know, who cares? Well, that's I mean one. I don't know, people call it conspiracy, but this whole COVID talk. But um, there was someone saying that very hidden fact that no one, or more, very few people talk about is that most of conspiracy theories were actually true, and I don't know about other conspiracies, like, because I haven't really explored any in deep like detail, but if you find like evidence to support something and it's interesting and it could be true, then yeah, definitely gets your attention. I don't know about the flat earthers. It sounds a bit unrealistic, but yeah, I don't know. On the other hand, I haven't never been to space to actually see it anyway, so can only everyone, I mean the majority, can only go by what they're being taught, whatever their science show, whatever, because they believe other people, they believe scientists, and they believe what they're being told anyway. So maybe, I don't know. It's interesting stuff. I don't know. When it comes to the flat Earth, of course, I don't really believe it. It's definitely spherical, but again, most of us have not been in space. I always find fascinating those videos from NASA where some of the videos show stars around in space and some of them don't. I never understood that. And when they're showing live broadcast from the space station, again, there's no stars around. And there was someone trying to explain to me that we don't have at the moment cameras that powerful that they can show that detail, which is funny in itself. But I always find it interesting when I see videos like that where there's no stars around. Where are the stars? Space is empty. There's no other planets, no other galaxies, nothing. No other celestial objects. Yeah, I really like those videos where they're showing astronauts at in the space station where they're flowing, but you could also see the cords behind them pulling them. And if you were to actually be at zero gravity, a woman's hair, as you'll be long, it'll be floating, and you'll be able to see like float maybe, as she was moving, but you were seeing females with the hair where they're having like gel, where it's completely standing still, and it was she was moving, it was going like that. That's kind of a giveaway. And yeah, clues like that, and yeah, reasons like that is why I'll be very embarrassed to wear NASA t-shirt. I would never do that. Pretty much as be just as embarrassed to wear a Twitch t-shirt. Amid the double standards and the unfairness and the unprofessionalism, it's tremendous. It's ridiculous. And yeah, I think I'm going to try and see how I can stream on other platforms as well, because I haven't really tried it. And also there's a word for it. Multi-stream, where you can stream at the same time on multiple platforms, which is an option, like how Destiny does, for example. He's at the same time on because I think he's been departnered, right? And now he's allowed to stream on multi-platforms at the same time, like on Twitch and YouTube at the same time, which is interesting. Of course, he's an OG. He's been streaming for like nearly 10 years, I think. And yeah, of course, it also really helps if you have like a community behind you. If you've done YouTube videos for a year or two and you have a community, you have some content, of course you're gonna have a lot of people behind you, and they're probably going to follow you on other platforms, which is kind of happening to him. People from Twitch going to YouTube to see him. It'll be interesting to explore that option. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna end it here. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for today. I'll probably stream tomorrow, see how things go, and be brilliant if I could see some people in chat, have a discussion, exchange opinions, and yeah. Okay, well, thanks for probably watching this VOD, if anyone's watching it. Yeah, and I'll see you next time.